half of us think the coming software robots will actually help us at work.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Total Wine and More, where you can find a new favorite Chardonnay, sparkling wine, or tequila. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. Be 21. And by Fidelity. A dedicated Fidelity advisor can help create a wealth plan for a full financial picture. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. First, despite recession fears, workers are still quitting for greener pastures, not just in the U.S. A new report finds the so-called Great Resignation to be a global trend. Marketplace's Nova Safo is here with more on this.
Yeah, the report is from the accounting and consulting firm PwC. It finds the main drivers of worker resignations to be burnout and lack of adequate pay. And this very much is a global survey covering 46 countries and territories. It finds that a growing number of workers are leaving if the company culture doesn't support them and because they're looking to keep up with inflation. More workers are saying that they're struggling to pay bills, and a quarter of those surveyed said they're planning to change jobs in the next year. That's up from a fifth a year ago. The study also finds that younger workers are more willing to leave than others, defined in the study, David, as Gen Z. That's people in their 20s.
Right. And this study also asked about the potential impact of artificial intelligence on the labor market. What do people say?
Right. And, well, one finding will shock absolutely no one. Younger workers are expecting to face a bigger impact from AI than older workers are expecting. A third of baby boomers, in fact, aren't worried about AI at all. But one surprising element is that half of the workers surveyed expect a positive impact from AI tools, more efficiency and productivity. And related to that, more than half of workers expect to need new skills to do their jobs in the next 5 years. And PwC is urging employers to step up and better support their workforces.
All right, Nova, thank you. President Biden today is meeting in San Francisco with a group of tech leaders and advocates to talk about the promise of artificial intelligence and where guardrails need to be built. Today here, I also talked to a political scientist who says there's a chance this could be a global effort that unites the world. In a surprise reshuffle, e-commerce giant Alibaba is replacing the boss as it borrows another strategy from rival Amazon. Its current chairman and chief executive Daniel Zhang will now lead the company's new cloud computing division and will be replaced by two of the company's co-founders. Nick Marsh is Asia business correspondent with our newsroom partners at the BBC.
Alibaba made its fortune in online shopping, but years of sluggish sales have forced a rethink. 3 months ago, it was announced that the business would be splitting up into 6 separately listed parts, including a new cloud division working on artificial intelligence. Mr. Zhang has a good relationship with the Chinese government and is seen as a safe pair of hands to launch a business that's expected to face heavy regulation in China. His replacements will come from within, including Joe Tsai, who owns the NBA basketball team, the Brooklyn Nets, and he'll take over as chairman.
All right, Alibaba stock fell 1.5% in Hong Kong today. Here, Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are all down 0.4%. Crude oil is up 0.4% above $72 a barrel now. Chinese banks today once again cut some interest rates to bring more life into that country's limp post-COVID recovery.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying. And by UiPath, providing organizations the UiPath AI-powered business automation platform. More at uipath.com/marketplace. UiPath, the foundation of innovation. And by Affinity, helping investors navigate the relationship economy with the CRM built for private capital markets. Affinity.co/marketplace.
It's been a decade since the Black Lives Matter hashtag first appeared on Twitter and just over 3 years since the police murder of George Floyd. At the time, about 2/3 of Americans expressed support for that movement, according to Pew Research, but Pew's latest polling finds support has dropped to 51%. Marketplace's Kimberly Adams reports on how that decline is playing out in the thinking of corporate America.
Companies these days are a lot quieter about social justice issues than they were in 2020, which is exactly what many expected. Public support, then backlash, then retreat. Adia Harvey-Wingfield is a professor of sociology at Washington University in St. Louis.
Many companies are looking at their initiatives and their investment in diversity, equity, and inclusion, specifically when it comes to race, and saying this isn't quite an area where we want to focus as much anymore.
And she says that can have direct consequences in the workplace.
For Black workers in particular, in organizations where they are underrepresented, they often feel excluded and marginalized. People in leadership roles, they are more likely to stall out at middle management levels and less likely to climb to the top ranks of organizations.
But there have been some shifts in the way people think about diversity in the workplace, says Juliana Horowitz at Pew Research.
A majority of U.S. workers, 56%, say that focusing on increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion at work is mainly a good thing.
And while relatively few people say it's very important for them to work in a diverse workplace,
among those who have had experience with DEI measures at work, whether it's, having organization or policies that ensure fairness in hiring, pay, or promotion, or whether it's having trainings on DEI, majorities say that those have had a positive impact where they work.
When it comes to publicly traded companies, there's been a big drop in how often they're talking about these issues with investors. Nick Mazing is the director of research at AlphaSense and checked the transcripts of earnings calls for more than 500 companies over the last few years. More than 190 of those companies mentioned the word racism in their calls after George Floyd's 2020 murder.
Fast forward to this year, we've had only 11 transcripts that mention the word racism. What this means is that racism as a topic doesn't appear anymore in corporate conversations with Wall Street.
But, says Mazing,
what this doesn't mean is that the initiatives such as employee resource groups or mentorship programs, racial pay equity audits and things like that doesn't mean that they're not ongoing.
If you look instead at proxy statements, which give a broader overview of companies' long-term plans, Mazing says many of the initiatives started during the country's racial reckoning are still alive and well. In Washington, I'm Kimberly Adams for Marketplace.
Thanks, Kimberly. You're listening to the Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.